Brendan playing us in. Why don't you make us an intro, Brendan?
I will.
You will.
I don't know how to play any Celtic music though.
I don't need to do Celtic music. We're okay. We're cultured over here.
Thanks, Dickhead.
Everybody, welcome to the show, as always. Again, we're back in the bedroom. I thought we'd come back to the bedroom because this is such a good card that I think it deserves to be in the place where the magic happens. Plus, I had to take the hair down because this shit's going to get a little bit crazy.
I already ragged on you.
It's unbelievable. Brendan, it's been so long. We've been waiting for the longest time for this card. It seems like, I don't know, it seems like a really, really long wait for this card. And it's probably one of the best cards of the year, I would guess.
Yeah, I mean, minus like any like, here's the only thing that would take me, like if I'm being subjective, where I'm in the conversation, like my thoughts is that I don't care about many of the outcomes.
Yeah. At
all. Like I have no dog in any of the fights, if you will. Not really. And there's some guys like I like, or I might know a little, but not really, you know. But other than that, if you just go on like the evenness, if you will, of the star power, and then you got DC Stipe at the top is so interesting, and the fight right below it is equally interesting in the fact that we don't know what to expect. Every expert, including myself, whatever I am, all of us, everyone's got such varying opinions. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's totally insane.
Before we went live, you told me that the lines are a bit out of control, the betting lines, as you'd say. So I'm looking forward to hearing what they are, because I'm going in blind in terms of betting. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to hearing what they are as well.
Are you actually like putting anything on it?
I probably will. will.
And I never do. I should.
Yeah.
I definitely should. Because
yeah.
But with lines, I'm good, especially when I see them move. Yeah. That's always been the trick. If you can get them early, you know.
When you have no dog in the race, it makes it a little bit interesting, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
Especially
I used to gamble on football like a fucking degenerate. Yeah, I get it. You know, I don't want to be in the hole.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta save up for this tattoo sleeve. It's not gonna be cheap.
Yeah. Before we get into the show, before we talk about this amazing card, and I'm not talking about the TUF 27 finale because we probably will touch on that, maybe the main event.
Yeah, I'll give it a little rub.
A little bit of housekeeping. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Go subscribe to Brendan Dorman. He put a playlist of the 226 fighters that he's broke down already, and there's some really good breakdowns there. So if you want to get prepped, watch this and then watch those breakdowns, because you'll be ready. You'll be just completely ready for UFC 226. Then you can bring your friends over and you can start repeating what Brendan Dorman said in them breakdowns, and you'll just look like the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, you know what? One of the coolest things of all time is when I've overheard people that may not know I'm me recite me.
That's
like,
funny.
It's never verbatim, but it's like, you didn't come up with that on your own. You don't know across from a hook.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're just, you know, they'll say like quick sit. That's a word I came up with. Like a lot of them I just come up with. Pendulum effect. Like there's a pendulum sweep in jiu-jitsu. I didn't come up with that.
Yeah.
The sweep or the name. But like the way that I explain it, it's just a way that I'm trying to explain something with a mechanic that is universal. If that makes sense. I don't call anything like flabbergast, 3. I try to make it like, it makes sense.
Makes sense in some way.
Yeah. So when someone says quick sit or pendulum effect about a, hook to the body, left hook up high, it's like, all right, you're watching my shit, which is good. I love that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'd rather them be educated,
Yeah. Also, people always ask me, where can you listen to this podcast? Because we do actually put up an audio podcast as well. So if you want to listen to this on the way to work, we're of course on Spotify and stuff like that. But Brendan, we're actually featured this week on a podcast and website /app called Podcast Republic.
That's awesome. Is that like an Irish based?
I don't think it's Irish.
It's the word republic. I don't know.
Yeah, republic. It does match. I think it makes sense. It makes sense that we're featured there. But you can download the app on Android. Check it out on the website. Loads of all the podcasts are there. Go like us on that. Go.
Our show's like featured on there.
It should be on the main page this week.
That's awesome. Yeah. I just typed in like my own name into Spotify just to see, and it came up like all of them listed. Yeah. So I listened to one the other day on the way to work. It was cool.
Does it sound better?
It sounded pretty good. I sounded a little distant, so I might have to fix the mic situation, but
no, it's all good, man.
It wasn't intolerable or anything. It was just distant.
That's cool.
You know?
We have a few people in the chat already. Unemployed Mario Yamazaki's here. I guess he's not working 227 or 226. It's a great name. He said he just subscribed. So everybody follow his lead. That's it's Mario Yamazaki. He's a good guy. But yeah, if you want to have some, if you have some questions about the card, have some questions in general, throw them into the chat. What I do ask you to do, because this happens a lot, when we go through these cards, somebody asks a great question about a fight that's happening further down the card and we miss it and we can't go back to it because it's gone. So if you can try stick to the fights that we're talking about, then we can kind of get into those questions a bit easier and a bit better. Make sense?
Yeah, and let them know the order a little bit.
Yeah, so we're gonna go top down. We're going to start at the top and go all the way down. There'll be a few fights which we're going to kind of skip over. There's some, it's a good card, so there's not that many fights that we're not interested in. There's plenty of fights that we're going to go through.
Yeah, I just don't want to, we can't, I could talk about Gokhan Saki for 2 hours, but I realize that that's not the market. So we're going to reward the people that showed up early by going top down. So
yeah, top down. Quick question before we go onto the card. Robert, which site do you use for betting in the EU? I use Paddy Power. Go to Paddy Power or Betfair. So yeah,
Paddy Power's huge, right? Over there?
Yeah, really big. And Paddy Power just bought Draft, or they bought them last year. Draft in the States? No, Draft? Like DraftKings and stuff?
Oh, yeah, I know DraftKings.
Yeah, Draft. They bought Draft and a couple of other things. It looks like Paddy Power might be getting into the States with the new regulations and stuff, so big news there.
That's interesting. It used to be all Bodog way back
Yeah, back in the day.
And they went through, I don't know, legal issues or...
Yeah. So, Brendan.
Yes, sir.
It's the card we've been waiting for. It's the main event. It's the super fight that I think everyone can agree this is a super fight. It's Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier for the UFC heavyweight title. What's your initial thoughts going into this one? How excited are you?
Super, because I love the mystique of it all. I don't know what to expect. I would be equally not surprised or whatever. I wouldn't be any more surprised by a Stipe first round KO than I would a DC dominant 5 rounds.
Okay.
Or throw something else in there.
Yeah.
Like there aren't too many things. If Stipe took DC down in the first and guillotined them from Mount, I mean, there's some things that I'd go
Of course.
But if you got real specific, but if we kind of stick within the parameters of reality, then no outcome really surprises me. I think it's Stipe's toughest test. I also think by that same accord, so as much as you want to put Rumble there, Rumble's wrestling isn't as good with timing as Stipe's. He's not as fleet of foot, and his Rumble kind of winds up his power, if you notice, a little bit. I love Anthony Johnson, but if you watch Stipe, his knockout of Verdum, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to assume they're too busy to watch this, so I don't think I'm giving away a trade secret at this point. But one thing I noticed that DC does is if he's chasing as Verdum did with Stipe when he thought he hurt him more than he did, he was bull rushing, almost angry. Remember, they're along the cage, if you follow, and they're going like this, and quick set, remember I just mentioned? Yeah. Stipe's got his hands up like this as he's cornering, because you can't throw a left hook at me when I'm moving this way, right? If my hands are up, and he just kind of quick sets and hits that from here, right? It was just a bang, and he knocks him out dead. Short power can mean short punching can mean two things. There's one way to short punch for combos, where it literally looks like you're not, to build speed, in other words. Yeah. And then there's short power, which you don't need much to put, and he's got that in spades. Stipe, after what we saw against Ngannou, to count him out would be crazy. With that said, DC's lost only to a juiced up Jones, and only once decisively. Yeah. And he's shown he can take a punch too. Now, how much so though?
That's the thing. Daniel Cormier has one of the best records in MMA history, probably, at least in the upper weight classes. He's 20-1. One of those losses come to John Jones. Of course, he has that other loss. That was the no contest. But he's been perfect. Apart from John Jones, he's been perfect.
Yeah. And his closest other fight would probably be Gus, right?
Probably, yeah. So, I think people underestimate Daniel Cormier in a way because of those John Jones fights. Yeah, especially a heavyweight. And that's one of the things I wanted to get into, because Daniel Cormier, or just in general, okay, when you have a super fight like this, when you have a guy moving up in weight class to contend for a title, or even just to take a fight, one of the first things that I think about, and I'm sure everyone else thinks about, is, oh man, how is this guy gonna deal with these bigger guys? And that's gone with Daniel Cormier. We know how he can deal with bigger guys. We've seen it.
Oh,
he spent half his career there. We know exactly how it works.
Bigfoot Silva's kind of a big dude.
He's a big dude.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah.
I mean, easy target or whatever, but like, and he caught him with an uppercut and then like a really kind of ridiculous hammer fist or two. But Josh Barnett, we've talked about, and he's a grappler. So, and that wasn't close. His only kind of like stalemate at heavyweight was probably Mir, you know?
Yeah, and it wasn't the worst performance in the world. It was a stalemate.
Nah, it just was kind of a stalemate. But like, think about what he did to like Patrick Cummins or even my buddy Volkan. I mean, I was involved in that. I mean, I wasn't as involved as I would have liked to have been, but that was hard to watch for obvious reasons. DC is an animal. He's got that pace, man, and you got to figure like this is almost like seeing Kane Stipe in a way. You know, I think Cormier has better takedowns and top control. Maybe. I don't know about top control, but better takedowns than Kane. More versatile.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because his wrestling pedigree is just higher. I don't think his striking's as good. So I think it's a thing, you know. But we haven't seen prime Kane, Christ, in 6 years. So that sea-level Kane and all that. I mean, it's funny, but it's old too. Yeah. You know.
Yeah,
I think it's anyone's fight, man. It's gonna be fleet of foot. We're gonna really see how good Stipe's wrestling is. Don't forget, he was NCAA like over here, like the best colleges in the best wrestling program. I forget. I think it was maybe not Ohio State, but Cleveland something. Yeah. Some Division I college he wrestled. So you wrestle at a place like that on scholarship, you can wrestle. He didn't do boxing until after he wrestled. Yeah. So boxing's his second trade. Wow. Yeah, interesting. He doesn't really throw kicks, but whatever. Why would you?
Neither does DC, to be fair. He throws some nice leg kicks, but not, he's not a kicker.
They look less than cute. The leg kicks are one thing, but once he gets any higher than that, it's like, don't avoid that, bud. Yeah. It could be too. I mean, I love them, but they're not kickers.
Yeah. But do you think, because this is one of the big ones that come up, the biggest arguments was that, Stipe is going to be this bigger guy. And I just think that people are over-exaggerating this point.
Yeah. Weighs less.
Yeah. Yeah, he weighs less.
He's taller.
He's smaller frame. Yeah, as in DC's a smaller frame, much smaller frame, but,
But he's like big-boned.
Yeah, like just for an example, I watched your DC breakdown, and some of the takedowns that he landed on guys like Josh Barnett, like that high crotch where he basically put him over his head.
Yeah, because what happens is when you get a high C, right? Like he does like the right hand into I've always called the Dan Henderson, but I didn't come up with that. Someone else said, so I'm not taking credit. But you throw a right hand, you let your right hip drag with it, so that way you're in position to kind of angle out, grab the high C, and usually you'd put your head inside, but when you're as high level as DC, you can kind of put it outside if it's tight, pinch your elbows, right? Now the thing is, normally from there, everyone calls running the pipe something different, so I use it in a couple contexts, but like the snap around, run the pipe where you're turning the single, as you're doing that, if someone blocks your elbows from the top, then you can't really spin. Right? You can't, even though they're tight on the leg and you might have the leg well, you're not going to really off balance them because you can't get the herky jerkiness and drive your shoulder into the top, like the top of the thigh. Is this am I being too technical?
No.
So when that happens and you miss, what happens there, because their hands are here, is you can then slide the high C to a really high C. Yeah. And then it's there, and then you just have to kind of scoop and work it from there, and just let them be off balance and control it. Yeah. That's kind of how that one worked. But he does it all. He's done it to Hendo. He's done it to a lot of guys.
Yeah, it's incredible. And without taking anything away from Stipe Miocic, can you argue that Daniel Cormier looked better at heavyweight than he did at light heavyweight? I think his accomplishments at light heavyweight, hands down, are better because he won the title. Of course, at heavyweight, he did win the Strikeforce Grand Prix, which was really impressive because he came in as an alternate for that tournament, and he beat some really good guys that he probably had no right to beat at the time he was in his career. It was a huge step up.
He wasn't what he is now.
Exactly. My question is that, based on what he did at heavyweight, based on, I suppose, the performances, because some of his light heavyweight performances, although they were dominant, maybe they weren't as eye-catching. Like some of those heavyweight fights, they were extremely eye-catching at the time.
Oh, God, yeah. back when like that division over there was like, there were a lot of monsters. You figure he beat Jeff Munson, he beat Barnett, he beat Bigfoot Silva. I'm missing somebody. He beat somebody else too. He was murking everybody.
Nelson.
Who was it?
Roy Nelson.
Oh, right. Yeah, I covered that.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I always put that in the UFC in my head. Yeah. But the point being is it more impressive? I don't know, because the names aren't, it's tough to say. Some of them are maybe past the prime or whatever. But he looked better. Like, just me judging how someone moves and them looking like themselves or whatever, minus the weight cut. DC, that's how he walks around. Like, it's not. Some guys are naturally, whatever, ectomorphs, mesomorphs. Like, some people are naturally kind of cut and in shape, and he may not be, but don't ever mistake that for him not being a super athlete. Yeah. You don't become an Olympic athlete by being unathletic, right? So yes, on the surface, the look of it, but resume-wise, tough to say, right? Because it's not, because it was some guys that were a little, like a Jeff Munson, he didn't really matter even when he mattered. No offense, Jeff.
Yeah, of course.
I don't want anarchy scraped in my forehead.
Yeah. We can get back into the technical side of this in a minute, but there's actually a couple of questions that I want to get to in the chat. How much? This is from Raphael Schaefer. How much of an age factor will age play a factor in DC versus Stipe? Jesus Christ, can't even speak. Can he still pull that pace and the durability on like he did in his earlier heavyweight run? I stumbled through that, but I got through it. I think age is DC getting too old, basically.
I don't think so, because of his style. It's not dependent on reflexes. It's totally dependent on technique and muscle memory. And they always say, like, he's not just to call him slow seems a little weird, but like, he's not relying on speed. Right?
Sure.
Like boxers, you see it the most, where like a Foreman looked really slow when he did his comeback when he was 185 years old, but he still had that power. They always say power's last. And as cliche as it may be, it's true. Now, that said, I don't know how old Stipe is exactly. I think he's 32.
I'll get it.
Right? If he's 32, 33, 34-ish, then we're only talking like 4 years maybe.
Yeah.
I know it's DC's kind of swan song, but like they're not that far apart.
35.
So dude, we're talking about 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So it'd be tough to like chalk anything to that. I mean, is there some credibility to the question? Of course. Yeah, it's a legit question, but we've seen zero signs of Cormier's ground games look better exponentially, fight to fight. In the light heavy, minus Jones. Jones is that one thing, and I honestly think that was an RDA Colby type thing, or a Jose Aldo Connor thing. Yeah. I just think he's in his head.
Yeah.
It's just my opinion.
Yeah. I completely agree. One thing that really interests me about this fight, and just the return of DC to heavyweight, I suppose, is that if you notice DC, for me anyway, is that when he went down to light heavyweight, I feel like he had to change his style quite a bit. Like when he was at heavyweight, his main game, or at least his main attributes that got him through a fight, was his speed, his aggression, that kind of stuff. Where at light heavyweight, although he still had that, he had to be a little more clever with his takedowns and be a bit more tricky.
He got flat-footed by losing weight, which is weird.
Yeah. But he was fighting probably quicker
better,
guys,
Sure. It could be like when you're sitting in a bus and you look at one, you can't tell which one's moving kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, in other words, the other person's speed may nullify, if that makes sense. So it might be. But he definitely was more aggressive. I mean, that's the way he kind of like blitz shift into his takedowns, and then if he didn't get them, strike out of them, Like the way he clipped Bigfoot Silva was an uppercut kind of from the clinch. Yeah. So he'd do those kind of things a lot. And his dirty boxing back then wasn't so much this beautiful, thumb in, collar tie, nice and tight. It wasn't the same. That's refined itself. That's how he caught Gustafsson a lot. Yeah. Tough to say, man. I think he's more dangerous at heavyweight. I really do.
I think I believe that too. I really do.
Yeah. I don't know about against like a super monster, like a Ngannou type, or Brock especially.
Although
like I just feel
the Ngannou one, that was a weird one, because Ngannou has showed he's had a lot of problems when somebody can really control him on the ground, or at least control him in the clinch, that kind of stuff.
I know. Yeah, but you wonder, like, Stipe's didn't knock him out, and he's knocked kind of everyone else out. right?
Yeah.
He showed great cardio through 5, amazing, considering how much grappling he was doing, and against a guy that probably walked in the ring at like, I don't know, 268 or 278 probably. You know, you got to figure, because like heavyweights, it's fractal, of course, right? So he made 265, but he packed a few on, I'm sure, the next day. So he was carrying that weight for 25 minutes, dude. And Stipe was pretty fresh at the end of that fight. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and without kind of just praising DC and saying that maybe, you know, he's unnecessarily such a big underdog, you have to give a lot of credit and a lot of credence to Stipe's chances in this. Stipe is probably the best heavyweight of all time at this point, at least credentialed.
Yeah, it's like my argument for, like, talent-wise, you could make an argument for a couple of guys, I guess. You know, I don't know that I'd agree, but resume-wise, yeah, because he's beat all of them. Like, he's beat everyone. Now, the argument always is, well, when did he beat him and blah, 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 but it's like, it's not his fault, really. That, USADA's got a lot to do with it, and that's the like, dirty little, you know, no one wants to talk about thing. Heavyweights especially, man, because they could just go to the, you know, equestrian store and fucking load up, you know, horse meat, right? So, like, he didn't fight really in that era. Not really. So, Stipe's I got it at minus 240, so, you know, it's pretty significant.
Yeah.
It's not crazy, but it's significant. And from what I hear from other people, you wouldn't think so. This is totally Stipe's fight to win. Like, are you going to be flabbergasted if he knocks him out?
No.
I'm not at all. I won't be at all. If he stuffs DC's takedowns, I won't be all that surprised. It's how long can he do it before he clips him. That's the chess match. Standing, Stipe clearly has the advantage. Can Cormier land something and do so? Yes, of course. Has Cormier exhibited an incredible chin? Yes. Against a guy like Stipe, not really. Rumble has that kind of power, but he sets it up different. Sure. Stipe's tricky. When you watch a lot of his sequences, when he's setting up knockouts, especially if he has someone kind of hurt, he pit-pats. It's all dynamic, and then he'll slam one in. You know, I don't know that Cormier is ready to defend against something like that. And if he shoots in, like, awkwardly, Stipe's got a wonderfully developed step back, like sit-6, where he can uppercut, you know, right through that. So I don't know if that should be if that's the line, but all that tells me is where the money's going.
Sure.
In Vegas, you know.
How do you feel like both guys either should approach it or will approach it? Do you think that Daniel Cormier is going to come in all guns blazing trying to get takedowns, or how do you feel like he's going to approach it? And same with Stipe. Do you think Stipe is going to be trying to back off, get away? Because Stipe, as you kind of just said, and a lot of analysts have talked about this, he's not really that type of guy, even though he has a good range. He has like an 80-inch reach, which is pretty good. Obviously not John Jones like, but it's pretty good. He's not the type of guy who's going to, like, on his bike, throwing jabs, keeping range. He has a lot of power in close. So he kind of wants to be in close quarters as well. So it's how do you think they're going to approach this?
I don't know, because the two guys we agreed that did best were both long, right? And they fight long, Gus and Jones. Yeah. So if I'm his striking coach, or say other people that have fought him in the past with reach advantages, I would say jab a lot. Yeah. So could a guy like that who's done Golden Gloves, yeah, he can jab, but I don't, you know, it'd be smart too. If I'm Stipe, I'm jabbing until I get a sense of what DC plans on doing. Not teeps or anything. Nothing that's a little risky. DC's very good at catching kicks and turning them into takedowns. But a jab, you don't turn into a takedown. Yeah. I mean, you could technically duck under it, but if you change levels and stuff, you can disrupt that. That's not that advanced, honestly. I think Stipe is more of an improv guy, and I think DC is more of a game plan guy, but he hasn't fixed some tendencies he's had for a long time. At least 4 people commented on my breakdown video about his, like, tendency to lean away from strikes. Yeah. And everyone's known this for, like, I didn't point it out in the breakdown. They did. And it's like, this is something, I mean, I obviously, with Volkan, was pointing out when he does it very specifically and why and where. But, you know, that took a lot of film study. The point is, like, Stipe's coaches seem to game plan well. Think of what he did, how he did what he did to Ngannou, right? It was a game plan. So to, like, even though I said he tends to kind of improv, with Ngannou, he had a game plan. With DC, he may as well. But I feel like he feels them out at first, and then he'll become him. once he like catches you with something, then he starts to amp it up.
Yeah.
You know, DC. I don't think either guy's gonna come out like you know, Verdum style with a flying sidekick. I don't see it starting that way. I think it could be a little tentative the first round. You know, little feeling out process. Maybe not. I could be totally wrong on that, but I think DC knows he's got to get it to the ground to win. And I think Stipe has an advantage in the fact that he could probably get DC down. I don't think he's smart to do that, but standing, it's the classic standing goes to Stipe, you know, takedowns and ground and striking will go to Cormier, I would think, you know.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little flip in that script.
Question from the chat, unemployed Mario Yamazaki's back. What's the upside for Stipe if he wins beside remaining champion?
Payday.
Yeah. Do you know what I think it is? I think it's more long term. I think it's long term. I think a win over Cormier now and Cormier coming up. I think a lot of people will say, "Oh, he was supposed to win," even though I don't believe that's true. But
wait, about Stipe?
Yeah, about Stipe if he wins the fight. But I think down the line when people look back and say, "Yeah, man, he beat Daniel Cormier. That is a huge win. That's it
without ever pissing hot."
Yeah, that's
the
a big
one guy. Be the one guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because DC said if he loses, he's going to go out and I think he said he'll retire.
He did, yeah.
Right? So, I don't see him fibbing about that, you know?
No.
I think he's done at light heavyweight, which leaves that whole division in shambles right now.
Yeah.
That's kind of another story. But, yeah, I think Stipe, Brock can make him a star, you know? Win or lose. It's like... he needs that you need two to become that, right? It's like TJ needed Renan Barão, and whether or not you think he's a star, go down to Brazil and tell me he's not, you know?
Yeah.
He may not be that big of a name now, but he was then. He was undefeated. And, you know, TJ needed that. He needed Cruz, he needed Cody. Now TJ's big, right? George needed Matt Hughes, GSP. Anderson Silva needed Chael to even go nuclear. Right? Rich Franklin, I guess you could argue, but you need it too. Stipe hasn't had much of a rivalry because he's not a shit talker, you know? So yeah. I think that end game wise, if he wins, what's the ups? The upside is the payday looking down at him with Lesnar, I would think. Because who else at heavyweight, man? Yeah. You know?
If you're on Facebook and Twitter, share this, get everybody in here, and let's get this party going, because 226 is coming up. It's unbelievable. A question, a simple question, but I think it's an important one. Again, sure. Mario Yamazaki is back. What's the X factor in this fight?
X factor? Stipe's takedown defense.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because, again, he's wrestled at a very high level. He didn't wrestle like freshman year of high school. NCAA Division I wrestler.
Yeah.
I don't know about All-American, but he was, you know, not quite Olympics. DC didn't win the gold medal, by the way. It's not Henry Cejudo. It's not Yoel Romero. Yeah. No, I'm not picking on the guy, but he's not. Like, he made it to the dance, but he didn't win it. So there's a lot of guys, I bet, that are Division I guys that maybe could have done that and didn't. So if Stipe is one of those guys, John Jones, for example, right? He wrestled at a junior college because he's fucking John Jones. You know, no one wanted to take on that burden, but he out-wrestled DC.
Yeah.
So, Stipe's tall, man, and usually you think hips lower, center of mass. Doesn't always work that way against another guy who knows how to wrestle.
Yeah.
You know? So I think I'm going to go with Stipe's takedown defense unless you got one. But.
No, I think that's a good pick. Yeah, I think that's a very, very good pick. I'm very interested to see how fast DC is going back up. Because Stipe has, against most of the guys he's fought, he's had a bit of a speed advantage. So it'll be interesting just to see what it looks like in the cage with these two guys.
DC does not like to move backward at all.
No, he doesn't.
In fact, they'll chase like Verdum almost, like sloppy chases.
Yeah.
And someone like Stipe is a sniper.
Yeah.
It's accuracy more than power, really. That was what I'm trying to say about Rumble. It's like, I don't know if they both just hit a pad as hard as they can, who's got the more PSI, right?
Yeah.
But accuracy is everything. I mean, that's more important than time. I mean, timing's probably one, but accuracy is like two, and then speed.
Yeah.
So, interesting. Stipe moves really well. That's the thing. Backward. Yeah.
A couple more questions and comments in the chat. DC, Chael P said that DC told him he's walking around at 248 right now.
Oh, Remember what I said before?
Yeah.
Guess so.
Yeah, man.
240 what? Well, how much?
248.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So when he like going to McDonald's every day?
I don't know.
248 for a guy usually cuts to 2.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good, honestly.
I'm not sure that's good either. One thing I did catch on the Embedded series was that that DC said something like, now that he moved back up to heavyweight, he realised how little work he was putting in at heavyweight versus light heavyweight. So I wonder what that means. I wonder if has he pulled back the work again. I'm not sure exactly what he meant by that, but I guess he meant that when he was at heavyweight, he probably wasn't doing a whole lot of cardio. He was probably just, trying to get bigger and shit. But it was an interesting comment.
My take on that is that he had to devote so much of his camp to making weight.
Yeah.
Like if you do the roundabout way to make sense of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In other words, there was a whole element that he used to be able to skip.
Yeah.
Right. I don't like 248 though. That's true.
Yeah, man. I'm not really sure about that.
I don't know. That does not sound good.
Yeah.
I love Chill, but he fucking trolls, so who knows?
Yeah, but Raphael Schaefer said that I guess DC said 247 at today's Embedded, so I don't know.
He did. He said it.
I guess it was him.
He has no reason to lie.
Raphael, let us know if that was DC that said that. But yeah, crazy. Do you have a pick in this fight?
Nah.
No?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. Listen, you guys want my picks? Go on my Twitter. Follow me.
Yeah.
During the fights, I'll pick.
Yeah.
But like here, I don't know. I got to see you move around.
Yeah.
I never know now. You're flipping a coin, and I don't care if you're whatever, Mr. Magoo. I don't know who the fuck that is or why that matters. The point is you're just picking. It's a coin flip.
Yeah.
Even if there's a favorite, they lose all the time.
Yeah.
There's some fights that seem like a destined winner kind of thing, but no, I don't know.
Yeah.
If it stays standing and Stipe's takedown defense is on point and DC got real fat like it sounds, I'd favor Stipe. If DC comes out and gets a solid takedown and starts working his top game at the whole first round, like say he takes him down the middle of the cage, which he does well, and like there's 3 minutes on the clock in the first, not good.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
Yeah. In terms of like betting, I think I hope DC isn't that size, or at least if he is that size, I hope it's not a bad that size, because that's huge especially for DC.
Gambling, man, I might take DC.
Yeah, exactly. Because looking at them odds, I think DC is a way better shot than the odds are looking.
Plus 205. So
yeah.
And over here, if you bet 100 on DC, you'd win 205.
Yeah, so
win 105 additional.
Yeah, exactly. So. Those are some good odds. I'd definitely put a little bit of money on DC. I don't think he's as big an underdog.
It seems pretty damn pick'em to me.
Yeah. The co-main event of the evening, potentially a better fight for a lot of people. For me, I think this is one of the best fights the UFC can make.
Oh God.
Max Holloway defends his lightweight, his featherweight title.
The chances of that fight being boring.
Yeah. Don't say it. Don't say it.
I know. No. Someone told me to say that. Troll.
God.
Why do I do that?
Stop doing that. But Max Holloway defends his featherweight title against the interim champion, Brian Ortega. Man.
Who the fuck's winning that one?
Yeah, man.
I could see dominance either way.
Well.
Honest to God, I could see either one dominate. Everyone is terrified of Ortega's squeeze.
Yeah.
Terrified.
Yeah.
I want to see him with like a Khabib, like eventually. I don't know. Because, like, is it a fluke? I don't know. Frankie's a black belt. Cub Swanson's those are black belts.
Yeah.
That's not like a Gokhan Saki, and I love Gokhan. Longer, going way further back than any of these guys. But he's not a black belt, right? There's no defense. That guy clamps on, that panic. The end of the first round with Cub, there was like panic setting in. I don't know, man. I just got that squeeze. And when I watch him on, like, I don't know if it was Embedded or whatever, but some show, so I messed around with his boxing coach doing some just footwork drills and, like, shadow boxing.
Yeah.
He's slick, man. He is all about staying on his feet. Like, the one thing that I think works in Max's favor is even in the Conor fight, he didn't really necessarily get, like, destroyed on the feet. No. And Max is triple the striker now. Let's be honest.
He's much different guy.
Much more refined. He's a different person. Yeah. What was he? 20, 21?
Yeah.
After that fight, he was a kid.
Yeah, you can't even look at that fight. It's different.
Yeah, he didn't do any of the things that he's doing now. Now, do I think like Max is going to try to take him down? No, absolutely not. But Ortega isn't a wrestler, and unlike Cub and definitely unlike Frankie, you don't have that snatch, or whatever, snap downs. You don't, because I think, what is Ortega, like 5'10", and Holloway's 5'11", or they're right about the same height, I think. I'm pretty sure they're the same height. They're right around 5'11", like my height, I think. So you're that whole standing snatch, like that's not going to happen. Now he does like flying triangles and stuff in practice and stuff, but I can't see him catching Holloway with that. Not in an MMA context. You're too slippery. Without a rash guard and everything, it's really hard to do. So, God, anything from Holloway tuning him up for 3 rounds and finishing him like he kind of did everyone the last 8 fights, or Ortega pulling off one of those out of nowheres,
Do you know what?
I don't.
For me, that seems like the thing. It seems like the reason why I'd be more confident in picking, say, a Max Holloway over an Ortega is because Ortega seems to get these wins out of nowhere. Like sometimes, like the Moicano fight, he was actually being outstruck in that fight, and that's one of the ones. That's the ones I kind of look at and I say, oh, if Max Holloway is on his game, and he generally is, that could be a problem for someone like Ortega, who, although
Holloway has no shake, you cannot shake him.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he's like I just feel like if that Holloway shows up, I think Ortega's going to have a lot of problems. Not that he can't win, because I just think he's going to have a lot of problems early. But then you have that crazy X factor. Like,
if you don't get him out of there.
If you don't get him, you have the submissions, and now we've seen he has the striking. Sure, I don't even think it's even close to being as polished as Max Holloway. I think Max Holloway is like 2, 3, 4 best striker in the UFC right now. But he does have that power. In a
traditional sense, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. He just has that power.
It's not traditional striking at all.
Yeah.
But that's why it's effective.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
continue. I'm stepping on your toes. I don't mean to.
No, it's just a crazy fight. Like it's man, I can't wait.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's exactly. That's the reaction.
I think you know what I love about it? They are definitely the 1 and C. Like there's no one's getting skipped over.
No.
Ortega has earned this 1,000%. Holloway's earned his spot 1,000%. He beat Aldo twice now, right? So both of them are absolutely the right people in this fight. And I think it's either person's fight. I really do.
Yeah.
I think the line is Holloway's barely favored. It's almost a pick 'em.
Yeah. And what I love about this fight is that although it's on paper a striker versus grappler, it's not really.
No,
it's not really.
Ortega likes to stand.
Yeah, and he doesn't get takedowns. That's the weird thing about Ortega. He doesn't get takedowns. He'll
I can't think of a time he got a takedown.
He'll pull.
I can't think of one takedown.
He might pull guard, but generally they'll fall into like a position. He'll pull like a guillotine and sweep or something.
But even that, he's snatching it first and then leaping.
Yeah.
Which is different because
he sets it up on the feet.
Grip. If you have a grip, even if you have an S, right? If you've still got a grip.
Yeah.
If it's an over-under, if it's a arm and guillotine, something's gripped. It could be 3-fingered. It doesn't matter. It's a grip. It's a million grips. It could 4 million grips.
Yeah.
But it's gripped. If you're jumping guard without a grip, there's jumping guard, there's pulling guard. They're a little different, only in your momentum. But he doesn't do that either. I cannot, for the life of me, if I play back all his fights in my head, I can't picture one takedown.
Oh.
And that's not going to work in his favor unless he was smart enough to work with a wrestler in the off. I don't. But do you do that, or do you just try to get your striking more crisp?
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to learn wrestling, I think, than to refine your boxing.
Yeah.
Because he's already been boxing for X amount of years. It's not learning it, Because as far as I know, he doesn't have much wrestling. He has anti-wrestling in the form of submission.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's very comfy off his back. It's interesting, man. He's interesting.
Yeah, he's a grappler who loves grappling but hates trying to get the fight into a grappling exchange. It's weird.
Yeah, but it makes sense in a way because I feel like because of the time he spent boxing and his style is very like, speaking of not being shaken or whatever, like he grew up pretty rough from all accounts. He doesn't seem shook for 1. For 2, he's very relaxed amidst the chaos. I miss the fight.
Yeah.
So when he's striking, I mean, even with like Cub Swanson was arguably outstriking him, or Frankie arguably up until got his face smashed in with an elbow and an uppercut, but Frankie was dinging him up.
Yeah.
The difference between those two guys is they've never really had put you to sleep power. Holloway can put you to sleep.
Yeah.
You know,
crazy.
I mean, not in the same. I mean, at 145, I mean, there's only like a Connor, Stevens. There's a few guys that can put you out. There's some upcomers, right? Of course, but like as far as up until now, at that level, there's not too many put you to bed with your hands strikers, because anyone can knock somebody out with a head kick. But you know, with Holloway, usually he'll ding you, and then he'll just get like how we do with Pettis, just unleashes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. In the chat, Raphael Schaefer said best fight on the card. I think I agree.
100%. I think it's one of the best fights of the year.
Yeah. Emerald All TV, he asked a quick question about the main event. We'll just answer this one, and then we'll continue on the Max Holloway versus Ortega fight. If Stipe beats DC, who should who should they fight next, or who should he fight next?
I was saying Brock. Just because I want Stipe after all this, no one else makes sense.
Yeah.
Because let's say Lewis beats Ngannou, right?
Yeah.
Does anyone care? I don't care.
Nah.
I don't think it does much because the prior way that someone asked that question was like, what does it do as a resume builder?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Not over Lewis. Plus, I think he smokes Lewis anyway. I think it's a bad stylistic matchup for Lewis, you know?
Yeah. I'd like to see DC get Stipe get a huge payday as well.
Yeah, that's because he's a guy I root for. I like him. I like his, for whatever reason, it's just never caught on. And I think he's never had because Ngannou was like this monster, but he was also like a kind of a question mark too, if we're all being honest. And in retrospect, of course, but I think he needs because Brock's a draw. That's the thing, is he's getting, who was Kane before Brock? Was he that big? Was he that big of a name?
No.
Not really. Yeah. Brock makes you a superstar, man. Frank Mir was kind of like your underground favorite. He was that Eddie Alvarez type almost until he had his beef, Brock will make you a superstar, win or lose. So I'd like to see that. I don't know what they'll do with USADA, but they're perfect. Or Jones, right?
Yeah, man, Jones would be an awesome fight as well.
That'd be, especially if he comes out and let's say he comes out and smokes DC, knocks him out, finishes him even if it's in the third, doesn't have to be smokes, but say he finishes him in the third, then I think Jones would be,
man. Raphael Schaefer again. Both Max and Ortega are pretty big 145ers. What are the chances for both to move up rather soon than later? Leaving room for Darren the Damage Elkins to become champion in 2019.
Hi, Darren.
We found his account. We found Darren's account.
Well, Christ, so many people that comment on my channel. I'm like, hey, that's really you? I never know. But both have talked about it. Both have said they would.
Max almost did.
But yeah, well, I think that he wanted to do that as a one-timer. But it goes to show you the bravado of that fucking guy, man. That was after Khabib just literally almost killed Barboza. That was hard to watch.
Yeah, there was almost a death in the octagon.
It's hard to watch.
Yeah.
But I know Edson, so there's that. But the point being, ballsy dude, right? Holloway said numerous times that he feels like this after the second Aldo fight, I believe, he's like, I got a lot more work to do. So if he moves up, I would think it'd be temporary. I don't know. I hope he doesn't.
The thing is, though, with Holloway, I feel like the way he's been talking, I feel like that cut is getting really, really tough on him. I feel it's getting really tough. Yeah, the stuff that he's been saying, even I know it was short notice, but he really struggled to get to 55. Again, he was probably out of shape, and you can't really take that into account. But the way he's been talking,
I dismiss, but I don't know about this at all.
Yeah, the way he's been talking, just go back interviews, and he's been talking about his weight cut and stuff like that, and he's saying he's getting bigger, and I just feel like he's almost at the end of the line at 45 for me.
They're both in their mid to late 20s, right? In that area, 25, 27.
Yeah, I can tell you now. Max Holloway is 26. He's pretty young. He's my age. And I know Brian Ortega.
How old Ortega?
Ortega is 27. So they're both,
They're both, so I was pretty spot on.
Yeah.
So I don't know about Ortega ever having weight cutting issues. I don't know though. He pissed hot. Everyone, no one likes to talk about.
No one talks about that.
But it should be talked about, just like everyone else. I don't know, man. In a perfect world, Holloway, no, stay there, dominate. I want to see some dominant champions emerge. Christ, we have 3.
Yeah, if Holloway can stay at that weight class, I'd love him to stay at the weight class.
I don't want to not at the risk of injury or
or shorten
a healthy Max, yes. But both of them could move up. Ortega at 155 is not going to be able to pull off what he pulls off at 145.
Interestingly, a couple of people commented on Ortega in the chat, and when you were speaking about the heights, Ortega's actually only 5'8", where Max Holloway is 5'11", so it's quite a height advantage. Yeah.
Right, listing, he looks so much taller than that. Or was it Frankie,
Yeah.
Because Chuck Liddell, his trick he used to do? His reach. When they measure his reach, he wouldn't extend his arms.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Motherfucker. Of course he did that.
Bend at the elbow to make his reach seem like less than it was. That's smart.
That is smart.
Fucking super smart. And it's not illegal. Just smart. It's gamesmanship, really. Yeah. So, God, 5'8", man.
Yeah.
I've never met the guy, but that's what he's listed as. Holloway 5'11". That's 3 inches taller is taller. If I'm next to someone 5'8", I'm taller than them. It's not really like up for debate, flat foot.
Yeah.
If you're on the mats, especially, like you're much taller. Yeah. That's significant. So although that only then reinforces what I'm saying about snap downs and trying to snatch guillotines from stand. No way. One thing that I very upbeat.
Yeah. In regards to the actual fight, one thing that I usually bring up is guys who don't stick to a game plan and guys who do. I feel like these two guys are on the complete opposite ends of that. I feel like Max Holloway, although he will get a bit crazy sometimes. Remember I think it was the Stevens fight where he was just like, come on, let's fucking throw down at the end of the third round or whatever it was.
Holloway.
Yeah.
When he pointed down Lamas.
Yeah. Lamas, yeah.
Amazing.
So he will do stuff like that, but generally he has a good game plan. He goes in and it's usually different. Like his fight versus Aldo and his fight versus Frankie, or not Frankie, he didn't fight Frankie. His fight versus, say, Lamas was different. Different types of game plans. Whereas Ortega, you kind of know what's going to happen. He's going to go in, he's going to try strike with you, and if the opportunity comes, he's going to try pull a submission.
Do you mean fight to fight, how they vary? From one fight to the next?
Sure.
Because I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Ortega's been consistently him and gotten better at him.
Yeah.
Right? Holloway's just gotten better, period. So I think his game planning, because I thought you meant during the fight, and I would have disagreed with that.
No.
Because I feel like Ortega gets in the corner and starts listening. I feel like Holloway gets in the corner and goes, the man is tired.
Decent impression.
He just talks a lot of shit and goes, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
That's his corner. Whatever game planning they do, I think they do before the fight.
Yeah.
Just if I had
there's
to,
not
I
much.
don't know that.
Yeah, there's not much change in between. Because, but to be fair though,
getting header with brrr, and then his bus goes brrr, everyone's feeding it.
But I also think it's important to say that that's probably because generally Max Holloway is winning fights throughout.
Could very well be.
Yeah.
But Ortega, against, say, Swanson, the adjustments he was making, he wasn't necessarily losing.
Yeah.
So the point being is one in the corner has his friends and one has people he listens to strict parents,
Yeah.
So interesting in that regard, but I know what you're saying. It's just a separate thing.
Yeah, so that's why when I'm coming to my pick, I feel like I'll be more confident in picking Max Holloway. I just feel like I know what he's going to do when he goes in there. I'm not saying that Ortega doesn't have what it takes to disrupt that, but I just feel like it's more likely Max Holloway can get in range, land some good shots, frustrate Ortega, and not be in the position to get pulled into some crazy fucking guillotine out of nowhere.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
The worst case scenario to me, the one that would feel the weirdest, but it is MMA, and this is A, completely possible, and B, shouldn't break anyone's heart. But if Holloway fights the perfect whatever first 2 rounds, and the third he's whooping ass again, snatch, guillotine, over. Those fights are
yeah.
Or those punches that just all of a sudden. But I think we're gonna see a better Holloway again. He has never not come out better. Never.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
He's
but
better
either has Ortega.
I understand, but we're talking about different strikers, man. They are not
No,
same.
not the same.
Ortega gets hit a lot, and when he does, his striking defense isn't that great. He's lighter on his feet than you'd think, like when he's shadow boxing, but then during the fight, he looks like he has these like Bigfoot feet. He's very heel and that's okay. Conor kind of is. Like you can be flat-footed in a way, but still move like you're not. But he's kind of like plotting, not like a traditional Thai guy per se, but he's not Frankie, and he's certainly not Max, because Max does it with drastic angle breaks, kind of funky stuff that he'll throw, but he switches stance a lot too. And then he does this real weird like lean-in things, where he's like real deceptive, where he brings his whole body kind of in to not look long, kind of the Chuck thing. He does that a lot, where he leans in, but he brings his arms in, or one way out to mess with you, and then this is here, and then from here, all he's got to do is forward with that punch. It's a brilliant strike. It's different. So when I say he's one of the best strikers, it's bonus points for being different and original. But the other thing is, like, if a traditional Dutch kickboxer, right, like Tyrone Spong, like Badr Hari, Ernesto Hoost, were to watch his striking, they may not think whatever, but they don't, they're not as MMA. Oh, Spong did a little MMA, but like they're not gonna really understand why it's different. Or why there's efficacy.
I truly believe that MMA at this point, striking wise, I think it has its own striking type, and I think in 20 years I don't really think
I've always said that.
And I don't think in 20 years you're gonna really have this kind of Dutch style, or maybe just heavy boxing centric style at the top. I think it's going to be mostly Max Holloway type striking. That really fluid.
Oh, like the top of the food chain guys.
Yeah. I think it's going to be that type of thing.
Stance switching's huge, and you always have to be thinking about like so much that you can't be traditional. You almost can't be. Not at the highest level, not a championship level.
I agree. I completely agree. Noel is actually in the chat. And he said, just jumping in here for a minute, lads, but we'll listen tomorrow. I said it a good while back that the only challenge for Max will be Ortega. My one and only pick is Ngannou. Ortega has too many tools. Much love, boys, and normal service resumes next week. I'm back next Monday, recording in studio.
Come back, brother. We miss you.
Yeah, we miss you, man. Speaking of Noel, he put the show on Reddit. So if anybody's on Reddit, go upvote it and comment on it and say, like, come on, lads, jump in on this chat. It's great crack.
Come pick BD's brain.
He thinks Ortega's going to win. So
that's weird because he's a Max mark, right?
Yeah, but he's also an Ortega mark.
Both. Okay.
Both. So
I'm gonna pick on this one.
Well, nice.
I have a pick, but here's my pick. But it's kind of like a addendum pick. But
can we say before you do it, can we say picks are on us? We don't really like doing picks too much because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We like to do the stuff before the pick, and then the pick is what it is. As Max Holloway would say, it is what it is.
It is what it is. My pick isn't really like a pick as to who to put your money on. It's kind of like how I see it and what I want or whatever. Sure. I'd like to see Holloway win.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll be rooting because I think I just admire the guy a lot. I like guys. I've been preaching non-stagnancy in MMA for how long? Since we've started talking, right? Since we've been friends. Mm-hmm. I always say the constant upgrade guy is the guy that I admire the most. That's in life, I mean, but in MMA too, of course. And he's that guy. Ortega might be too. I see less evidence of it, and he's got a little bit of a blemish, although I don't think that'll hurt him too much if he were to win. I worry about future matchups with him, whereas like Max has already had it for long enough. I don't know. Ortega just for some reason seems not one trick pony that seems very unfair to him. But I don't know. Him as champ bores me.
Well,
I don't know how to explain it, man. And I love jiu-jitsu. It's really not that. It's just I don't without takedowns.
I think that's a problem. I would love to see Brian Ortega come in and show a bit of his takedown game if it's there. We don't really know if it's there, but I'd love to see that. I really
It's not
would.
that he misses them. It's that they don't exist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'd really love to see him come in. But my pick as well is Max Holloway. I think Max Holloway, I really do. I think he is probably up there as pound for pound best fighter in the world right now. I really do.
Oh, he's like, if he's not top 5, he's top 3.
I think he's top 3.
But people
top 2.
I hate the way people skew pound for pound.
Yeah, no.
It means like how many different weight classes you can move around and beat people.
Yeah,
no,
I've no science. To be honest, I've no science with it. I just mean this guy, I feel, is the most skilled guy.
That's really all it should mean. Or like you gotta account for resume, of course, right?
Yeah.
Because someone could say MVP, pound for pound best in the world.
Yeah.
Right. I might take issue with that. Not because I don't like the guy. Again, addendum. But anyway, I'm picking Holloway because I think he's gonna win. But I want him to win too. So Ortega winning, it's not like I dislike him. He's a very honorable, likable guy too.
Yeah.
It's just Holloway on top. He feels like a champ, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something about that guy. I just admire him. I think if you can't get him down, like how are you gonna then? You can't keep pulling off these standing submissions. Watch jiu-jitsu tournaments. You don't see it a lot, and it's not as though Max has bad jiu-jitsu. He has good jiu-jitsu. You know, his coach was one of Pedro Sauer. I don't know if you know Pedro Sauer. He's like an 8th degree or a 9th degree black belt, corral belt or whatever. He's very, very high level. He was one of Hickson Gracie's #1 training partners, if not his #1. Wow. This black belt, so the lineage goes, Hickson and Pedro to whoever Max's coach is, and forgive me for not knowing his name, but we're talking like high level. So that same Gracie, that same side of the family, that like not my side, not, I'm Carlos' side, that's Helio's side. That same lineage is what he'd be learning from. So I don't think he's going to get like caught off guard. He could with that crazy crocodile bite, but I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I think Max tunes him up.
I don't want to compare it to the Ngannou one, but I wonder if we're going to see something similar where the fight happens and we just see some things that we haven't seen yet with Brian Ortega, or at least we didn't really inspect them as much, because you can say his rise has been
maybe.
Sorry?
You mean like gas tank?
No, I just mean skill-wise or something, anything. I just mean like he's come up and he's beat some really good guys, but you could probably compare Ngannou taking on Overeem and just skyrocketing him into the air to Brian Ortega versus Frankie Edgar. Maybe we can say,
especially because they look 3 weight classes apart.
But you could say that, the uppercut was insane. But you could say that, he showed a lot in that fight, but maybe there's just something there that Max Holloway is going to exploit, and we're going to say, that's it. That's what we missed, and that's what he really needs to improve on. Maybe it's takedowns. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just remember like what Max did to Aldo twice. Like what he's done to everyone. Yeah. Like that was his fight with Aldo. Caught him with like a couple nice shots, but they were very lopsided. Yeah, I agree. We haven't seen Ortega go past the 30. He had all those 3rd round wins where that was a big talking point. Who knows? Of course he can win. The line tells us it's anyone's fight.
Yeah.
If without the wrestling part of the game, even Damian Maia, who is a little slicker with his jiu-jitsu, maybe not as powerful, but slicker anyway. Yeah. He had to learn wrestling too. I mean, at some point you have to learn to get them there. We saw that. What fight? Nate Diaz Connor too. It was like, you have a fucking single leg, dude?
Yeah.
Every time you got Connor against the cage. And I was in a room that was kind of 50-50 at the time. And there was quite a few people there because Connor has that effect, like everyone's watching the fight. But the point is there were times where if Nate just had a takedown, if he just had some wrestling, just a judo trip, just some basic type of takedown, it was his fight to win. It just wasn't there.
Didn't have it yet.
No, not at all. That worries me because it's similar in a way.
Yeah. Dan from Oregon in the chat. Can we talk about how Max is totally clean and Brian is mostly clean?
We already did.
It's funny.
Almost clean.
Toby Green. Max has fought way harder opponents and had his career-changing loss early, Connor. And I think this is Ortega. And I think this is Ortega's. The rematch will be fucking nuts. I think that's a good point.
Yeah, because I think that this will be, I just mentioned Maya.
Yeah.
I think this, because I do think Holloway will win. He may not. Don't bet on it. Don't blame me if you lose money, in other words. But if he does win, as I assume he may, can, that'll be Ortega's back to the drawing board moment like Maya had, where he does learn that. Because if he does and starts getting some, however, it doesn't have to be very traditional American freestyle wrestling. Just you got to get guys down.
Yeah.
And if you can do that and start implementing his jiu-jitsu, forget it. You know.
Emerald All TV, Ortega as champ would send my ears to sleep. Max has more personality and better striking.
Much better striking.
Speaking of Francis Ngannou, a few minutes ago, Francis Ngannou takes on Derrick Lewis in a heavyweight contest. It's his first fight since that, I suppose, career-changing loss in a way. His trajectory was, straight up into the heavens, and then it's kind of petered off now, and people are a little bit lower on Francis Ngannou at the moment. But what do you think about this fight? Does he have too much? Yeah, not Vegas. What's the odds in this one?
So for every 100 you put up on Ngannou, you're putting up 365 to win 100.
Wow.
Dude, he's a massive favorite. Second biggest on the card. Yeah. So for every 100 you put up on Lewis, you'd win 300. That's big. That's a big line.
I guess the reasoning behind that is the argument would be that Derrick Lewis isn't the type of fighter who would have gave Francis Ngannou problems anyway. He seems like a favourable matchup even before we figured out what Francis Ngannou's deficiencies are.
It's not like, because Curtis Blades wouldn't have that line.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
You think this is kind of striker.
Yeah.
I think I just look at Derrick Lewis and I laugh because he's hilarious, and then maybe another reason or two. But because that guy is out of his mind, but in the best way possible. But Ngannou, on the other hand, is terrifying. Could he lose? Yeah, but he didn't get knocked out.
No.
That's the thing. Like Stipe, who puts people to sleep, it was a grinding affair. It took 5 rounds, and he was still trying. In like the 5th, he was still trying, and Ngannou was still trying.
His heart was there.
Derrick Lewis, and I don't know that Derrick Lewis doesn't have heart. I mean, I think he's got plenty. But if you remember, like his fight with Travis Brown, he got tuned up a little bit before he ended up obviously decimating his face. But Travis Brown's, we've seen quite a fall from grace from him.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's Honda Housey or whatever, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think that line's crazy, but I think Ngannou's going to put him to bed early. I think he'll counter. I like he'll counter him.
Yeah.
He'll let it kind of play with him.
Yeah. I don't like that Derrick Lewis has had these back problems for a long time. It's not good. But
look at him.
Yeah. True. It's just interesting that loss, which was a bad loss, and we saw a lot of problems with Ngannou. It's just interesting that a lot of people have kind of written him off a little bit. Obviously not the Lions, but I mean, even people in the chat, Dan from Oregon said, beat a bunch of old dudes with no chin. Ngannou was way overrated. Possibly, I think he was overrated at the time, but I still think he has.
Stipe's underrated.
Yeah, Stipe's underrated as well. But I just think that he still has a lot of upside in Ngannou. Like, if he went and he worked cardio for this whole camp, I think we'd see a lot of good things from him in this fight.
I think if it stays as a kickboxing match, I don't think you'll see bad cardio from Ngannou.
Yeah.
You gotta remember, it's like, and I learned this, who taught me? Phil Nurse is the one that taught me this. Like, whatever you're comfortable at, you won't get as tired with, right? Yeah. If you hate wrestling, like Anderson Silva, Chael the first time. Chael could have done another 3 rounds wrestling because he's been doing it his whole life. In other words, like, it's not exertion as much because it's efficacy, right? So you only exert as much as you're used to exerting. If you're a striker, like a boxer, like a Mayweather, he was never going to get tired against Conor. He let Conor because people kind of misconstrue that to mean like he let Conor win rounds. That's not what I mean. But he didn't go crazy on the offense until he could see him fading. He didn't move forward. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So strikers that have been strikers from the jump, which is Ngannou, right? I mean, he's got some jiu-jitsu and stuff, allegedly. I hear so much conflicting shit on his grappling. I really don't know what to think anymore. But I don't think Lewis is going to go in there and try and take him down either. So I don't think he's going to run out of gas at all. And it's 3 rounds, too. So if he wants to unload in the second, he can, It
would be interesting to see if Ngannou does go on his back, how he deals with Lewis's ground and pound, his ground strikes, because Lewis does have some really, really good.
If he hurts you first, though.
Heavy.
He doesn't just shoot under a jab often to a single, turn the corner, pass guard. Like, I don't see that ground game from him. Usually he hits you, you may fall awkward, and then comes this sledgehammer on your face. Yeah. That's more his ground smashing, you know?
Yeah.
So.
It's heavy.
Not that he can't wrestle. It's just, he's not Stipe, man. He's just not.
I thought this was hilarious. Someone in the chat, Tree, came into the chat and just said, "It's coming home." I don't know if that means anything to you, but it's England in the World Cup. It's their thing. It's like an English phrase of "it's coming home," as in football is coming home to England, because England is the home of soccer.
Sure.
Soccer for you, football. It's just funny because England are doing pretty well in the World Cup, so all the English fans are just typing "it's coming home" everywhere. I just thought that was hilarious.
That's cool. I haven't been following it all.
Yeah, no, it's been excellent. It's been really good. They won a penalty shootout.
Are Brazil still in it?
Brazil are still in it, yeah.
I always like watching them. They're poetic. I know that's kind of like the trendy whatever thing, but like in Conor McGregor.
Yeah, sure is. Did it go to the chat again? Who was better cardio, Ngannou or Lewis?
We seen Lewis fade?
Yeah, we have.
Against who? I forget.
Let me go to his record. Everybody on his record.
Tired. No, we have seen him twice now get tired.
He got tired against Mark Hunt anyway.
Yeah.
He
did.
Yeah.
He sure did.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one.
There's one.
That was hideous. I'm going to say Ngannou has better cardio.
Okay. I think if Ngannou, as you said, if Ngannou can get into his game versus if Lewis is in his game, I think Ngannou's cardio lasts longer. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I think he will too.
Yeah.
I think it's. I mean, the line's crazy, but I think Ngannou's going to put him to bed. Yeah. His power's outrageous, and the reason Stipe was getting him to strike poorly was he started slipping punches with just brilliance.
Yeah.
Just like this much, and then this much became missing. Became completely Ronda Rousey missing.
Oh, he was winging it.
Homish, you know.
Yeah, that was a bad
Derrick
look.
Lewis isn't refined. He's power.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna have Derrick Lewis flicking out jabs.
No, like moving, slipping, you know, like he's not a fast twitch guy.
How great would that be, though?
If he went out and he was like doing a spinning wheel kick.
Yeah, start shoulder rolling like James Toney.
It was like a capoeira kick, like when I do on the speed bag. He does that. Like, everyone, what the fuck? Oh,
starts doing the Ali shuffle.
Both of them they're heavyweights. Both of them have that kind of power that they can hit you on the temple blind, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Raphael Schaefer said that Ngannou's been written off way too much. I still think he's a possible future champ. I kind of agree with that. I think that a lot of people are, they're really like just hitting Ngannou when he's down. What I'll say is, if he comes into this one and he doesn't look good, then we can start saying, you know, he has some problems.
I have 3 letters for you, bud.
UFC?
George St. Pierre. When he lost to Matt Serra, right?
Yeah.
Everyone said, fluke, fucking one-trick pony.
Yeah.
No, not so much. He never lost again. He hasn't lost since.
Yeah, Jisp.
He hasn't lost since. Think about that. People wrote him off. Because what did he do? He corrected it.
Yeah.
So when you look at guys that look good, it's not like we were basing Ngannou's skill level on bullshit and something Dana told me. It's what I've been doing for 20-something years. You know what I mean? I know what I'm seeing. I just didn't know he gassed like that. How could you ever predict that? So, he could seal a few little, crevices and all this. He could be a world beater. Of course he could.
Yeah.
He's got the frame, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot to go there. Anybody else notice Ngannou looked a lot leaner in interviews? I think he's been working on cardio. A couple of people have mentioned that in the chat. They said, they said that. But let me go up. I've kind of lost it. But
he doesn't need any more power.
Yeah, I completely agree.
For what reason? You just need speed. When you watch his when he's fresh, warming up, his speed is uncanny for a guy his size. But it's when he obviously what is it? Fatigue will make a coward out of any man or something.
Yeah.
Whatever that saying was, like a patent saying. But yeah, I mean, when you're tired, he's gonna look like shit. Everyone's basing it on this 5-round war of attrition where Stipe was corner Nelsoning him and then throw a knee until he knew he could. Okay, I'll throw a knee because I know it's only been 30 seconds. It was just this grinding neck crank of like 2 rounds.
Yeah,
that'll wear anyone out, man.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
that'll wear out Nate Diaz.
Absolutely.
Nick Diaz. You know?
Yeah, a lot of people have been mentioning that in the chat. They said, Toby Green said, "You guys seen the last episode of Embedded? Ngannou looks like he's cut some muscle."
That.
Yeah, so
like
be interesting to see.
Lean and cut, or he looks lean and like.
Yeah, no, he looks like he's cut some muscle. He looks like he's just
shredded.
Yeah, it's just fair.
That's how it should look. Good. That's a great sign, actually.
Good sign. Better sign than Daniel Cormier looking like he's 248.
So he's looking like he looks like a Big Mac.
Yeah,
basically.
Big Mac. Moving on. Anthony Pettis takes on Michael Chiesa in a fight that was supposed to happen before Michael Chiesa got attacked by a bus window.
That's
Remember?
right. Yeah, it's about a pick-up too.
Yeah, a certain Irishman went a bit crazy with a dolly, and Michael Chiesa had to pull him. Yeah. But the fight's happening now, and Anthony Pettis, you've worked, or at least you've been around him working.
I know Duke more than I know Anthony.
Yeah,
much more.
But you know him quite well. You know his skills quite well. Michael Chiesa seems like he presents an interesting challenge to Anthony Pettis. Do you agree?
At the risk of betraying a friend, all it is about Pettis, all it's ever been about with Pettis, is motivation. So if you can read between lines, please do, because I don't want to say much more than that. You know, stardom hit him young. He's a handsome kid in a town where there's not a lot of young, rich, handsome kids.
Yeah.
Milwaukee's an old mill town, right? So he owned it. You understand?
Yeah.
It's like when you go up to Canada and go to TriStar and hang out with George, or outside of TriStar, even worse.
Or come to Dublin and hang out with me.
Yeah, right.
You know?
In Noel.
Yeah,
everyone just comes over, autographs, please. Titties, come on. Sorry, one girl watching.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, my girl, dickhead. But my point being, like, I've been with George in Canada, and he's Jordan there. You know, he's Michael Jordan-esque. Or what I name the person, right? Because in Canada, it's hockey and him. It's nothing else. But with Pettis, that was a lot of it, right? It's like, what's going to motivate you to push yourself that hard in the, you know, because he was never a big 155 either, you know? So skill set wise, man, if he can fight like he did against Jim Miller, it's his fight. Case is bigger, but Case's game is a little awkward and sluggish. Yeah. You know, it's not very compact, and he leaves himself open. So he's got great submissions, although Kevin Lee dismantled him pretty much. Interesting. That's a stylistic kind of affair, right? Case is very long, but Anthony can fight very long because he's got that leap in, leap out, and he also like tends to switch stances well. And Case may not deal well with the stance switching. You don't know. I don't know if Pettis is going to come out. Might come out orthodox. Might come out southpaw. You just don't know. And from what Duke tells me, this won't be the first time, but it will be the second that Pettis looks good. And last time he told me that was Miller. He's like, in this camp, he looks like Anthony of, you know, Ben Henderson days.
Yeah, that's good.
We'll see. Yeah,
because
it's really good.
Duke has been pretty honest with Anthony Pettis, or at least with the media about Anthony Pettis. He spoke. Yeah,
almost what he says to me privately. Which
he spoke about Anthony Pettis. He said that, you know, there's fights where he just doesn't have motivation to win the fight. He said this.
He said that? I didn't hear that.
He's pretty much said that. Yeah, he said it's all about what's in Anthony Pettis' head. He said it's all about the motivation.
Protecting any trade secrets then.
Yeah, exactly. You can say what you like. But yeah, I think it's an interesting one. I think Anthony Pettis is really good at going to the body. Michael Chiesa doesn't really like when people go to his body. I think that kind
body
of...
kicks.
Yeah, he's a really lanky, big 155er, so he probably drains himself.
That's a lot of target for a non-kickboxer.
Yeah, and a guy who cuts a lot of weight. Can't be good. So
great point.
Yeah, so
your
I think
organs are already kind of compromised.
Yeah, and he's been shown. It's, a lot of guys are like that. A lot of guys who cut a lot of weight. So I think that's interesting. But then as well, Pettis, he's had problems with guys who can get on top. So stylistically, it's an interesting one. I think Anthony Pettis, again, if he fights as you said, like that Jim Miller one, I think Pettis, it's his fight to lose.
Well, it was change of direction and pace too. He pace fast, then slow down, circle out. It was smart.
Yeah,
just pick his spots. You know?
Really good performance.
Pettis is great. You know.
But yeah, I'll pick Anthony Pettis on that one. But it's not the most confident pick on the card.
Rooting, you know. I wouldn't be surprised if Chiesa catches him in one of his wonderful little submissions in transition either, though.
Yeah.
You know, create scramble and then, you know.
And so on. And Pettis is good on the ground as well, so it'd be, you know.
Yeah, he's not a black belt yet, but he's a high brown belt.
Yeah, like that armbar he caught Benson Henderson with. It's quick.
Or the triangles he used to do in WEC.
Yeah.
You know, he's got great submissions. They're very fast.
Yeah,
Better
exactly.
than Sergio off his back. You know, he's not gonna just look for butterfly.
Yeah.
Different division, different kind of thing, but he has more experience grappling.
Yeah.
You know?
The opener of the main card is a guy who has a lot of hype around him. It's Gokhan Saki, very credentialed kickboxer against Khalil Roundtree.
Like the most?
You mentioned the odds on this fight before we started. What's the odds on this one?
Saki's favored, but barely. It's less than Holloway's favorite by. So he's minus 134. So to win 100, you got to put up 134. It's a pick 'em essentially. You rarely see it lower than that, but you know he's not going against a grappler. I looked at statistics and what is it? Roundtree? Do you pronounce the D?
Yeah.
Everyone goes Roundtree.
I think it's Roundtree. No.
Is it Roundtree? Like I don't know how much you accent the syllables.
There's no even D.
Is there not a D?
No.
Oh, that's why everyone pronounces it. Jesus Christ. He's a striker. He has 0 takedowns in his career that I know of.
Yeah.
He's a 0 takedown guy. The problem with Saki being that cardio last fight was like, what the fuck, dude? And whatever he attributed it to, I kind of forget. But as a kickboxer, that was never his issue.
Yeah.
He had fantastic cardio. Now he had to defend some takedowns, maybe. I feel like he mentioned that in like the post fight. But Gokhan Saki, you're talking about one of the greatest at the highest level strikers ever. He used to fight heavyweights when he was like kind of out of shape at like 210, like Overeem. You know what I mean? Ubereem, I should say. I mean, he fought him, Badr Hari. Badr Hari knocked him the fuck out, but that was prime Badr at 6'6", 255.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're talking about a guy. Watch his fight with like Nathan Corbett in Glory. You're just like, jeez. Or a lot of his fights that he had in Glory, like how fast his hands are. The thing is, that's like you're talking apex striker. More traditional than a Max Holloway, but if he's going against another striker, I could see that. I can see that the line's close because of the experience level, you know. But if Saki connects, and let's hope he fixed his cardio, because if not, it's going to be hard to watch for sure, for a couple of reasons. But Saki's got way slicker striking, and it looked like he had worked on specifically MMA striking before that last fight. But he just looked like the tank ran out and happened to catch that beautiful left hand at the end to finish it. But thank God for him, because I don't think he had much left. You know? Yeah,
I think it's good matchmaking, as in it's a favorable as a favorable match as possible for Saki, but it's not a fight that he could just run away with. It's a favorable match, as in it's a striker, so at least this guy will probably strike, and he probably won't go for too many takedowns. But he probably would be smart.
I think he has 0 takedowns attempted.
But it probably would be smart if he went for takedowns.
Maybe, but if you've never done them, I don't know. Maybe, because like, remember, you know Joe Schilling?
Yeah.
He's an amazing kickboxer. He, in an MMA fight, got knocked out with a Superman punch because I guess his whole camp at AKA, he worked on his grappling.
Ah, man.
So it's a weird kind of like this catch-22 thing, you know? Yeah. Was Roundtree smart and just said, my striking is enough to stay defensive, let me work on some doubles? I don't know. Is that smart?
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm his coach, I don't know, because like, am I going to make him a better striker than Gokhan Saki? I don't know that I can do that, you know? Yeah. Talking about one of the best ever in the history of K1, you know?
Yeah, it's
Daniel Guita and shit, like, dude, savage.
Yeah. It's a cool fight.
Fun fight.
It's a cool fight.
If cardio is good, it should be awesome.
Yeah, that's
cardio.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
I hope he worked on his cardio.
100%.
Yeah, because if he didn't, then it could be.
That last one, I was like, because he started off like a whirling dervish.
He got hurt as well, didn't he? A little bit.
Is that maybe that happened?
Yeah.
Whatever happened, he got tired.
Yeah.
Quick.
Yeah, crazy fight. We're not going to cover the whole prelims. Usually, what we do is we talk about an under the radar fight.
I got one that I want to bring up.
You got one. I have a couple.
Two.
So I think we'll pick a couple of under the radar picks from the undercard, and if anybody in the chat has one,
okay, I got one real quick before they do.
Go for it.
So, Uriah Hall, Paulo Costa, Borrachina. That fight opened up the other day, I swear to you, unless I'm losing my mind. I looked at it like 2 weeks ago, and Hall was favored, right? So I looked today, and Costa's minus 425.
Wow.
It not only flipped as far as who was favored, it flipped so dramatically. It's like, did the odds makers find something out? I wonder.
Or somebody just start putting a shit ton of money on Paulo Costa. Did you see the picture of Paulo Costa that came out?
How he pisses clean is.
He looks like Mark Kerr.
Are we going to call a spade a heart, or are we going to call it a spade?
Spade.
Let's call him spades. Okay, look at the fucking guy. He's like Muscle Beach, 1976, benching with Arnold, and then going to smoke a joint, drink some wine, and say, all the women love is muscle. Like, he's a bodybuilder. He does not, but he moves like a cat. He's agile. Throws like spinning wheel kicks.
Yeah.
I did a breakdown on him. It's one of my lower viewed ones, but he's fantastic. Do you see what he did to Hendricks, dude?
Yeah.
I still don't understand how he's pissing clean.
No.
Is he just is he one of those cattle they do in like Scotland where it's like selective engineered? He's so jacked, dude. It's like
insane.
It's not even the Yoel, like the big traps. It's like the shredded, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
he looks like Mark Kerr.
Christ, man.
Mark Kerr and Pride. The smashing machine.
Yeah, that's it. That's
just
exactly
jacked the gills. Or Mark Coleman.
But like Mark Coleman looked a little blocky.
Yeah, blocky. He looked, like he was on the he was like definitely on the HGH.
And probably 100 opiate pills, but just to get through his day because he looked like labor. Or like Paulo moves well, like very well, super athlete. He's dude. So you got to put up $425 to win 100 on that guy. Yeah. He's suddenly a massive favorite.
I definitely favor him, but I also would say that Uriah Hall, when he's on, can do some work.
Mm-hmm, but his heart. You know when I see him do the best work?
When?
In sparring against some guy we'll never hear about.
Yeah, I guess.
But it's telling. I'm not saying that to be an asshole. I'm saying that because it's telling of a mentality of someone in the gym. There was a video that came out and it said Conor McGregor bullies teammate and blah, blah, blah. And I watched it and I went, when? When do you bully him? They're just sparring. Like, it was just clickbait, in other words. So in the gym, sometimes you go hard and sometimes you don't. Uriah Hall knocks people the fuck dead in sparring in the gym. A lot. Like wheel kicks to the head and then goes, ooh. Ask like a Faraz. I mean, you can ask me, but forget me. Ask a Faraz. Ask someone from Jackson Wink or someone from AKA. How often the guys that are the knockout guys are the knockout guys? Like the people that hurt other people in sparring are always the same people. They always are like dude, I didn't. It's like, well, you threw a wheel kick full force at the guy's head. What do you think? You okay? You fuck. It's like, don't hurt your sparring partners. It's ridiculous. I hate that. I don't like it. No. Now, I'm not talking about the UFC, Ultimate Fighter one. That's a fight. But sparring some guy in some random gym I've never seen you in, and you've knocked him dead. It's a little weird. He does it a lot. So that mentality, considering that, and like seeing him break more than once, it's like that. Those aren't good signs to me. No. Yes, he's talented, man, but so aren't ballerinas.
Yeah, there was a couple of comments as well in this fight in the chat. I want to go back to one about Saki as well before I give my under the radar. But A good point, and I completely forgot about this. I don't know why. It slipped my mind. Sami Nabulsi. Meanwhile, Hall is giving himself seizures to make 185 if Costa connects, ... I forgot about that. Remember that?
Last weight cut, right?
Yeah, man. He was having seizures.
He almost died or something? Didn't he have to go to the hospital because of the seizures? They were like grand mal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, and if a guy like that, I mean, Costa's so powerful. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's part of the line, you know?
Maybe.
Yeah, I forgot about Hall's, like, almost impossible cut.
Jesus Christ, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I hate that shit.
Yeah, that's not good.
I hate it. Something needs, I don't have the answer, but I just wish it was cleaner.
Yeah. Sami as well, same guy. Not super familiar with Gokhan's defensive habits. If he gets into a tough spot, do you see him relying on the kickboxing glove shield defense? That's a good question. No,
because that wasn't his defensive maneuvering as a glory fighter.
Okay.
An RK1 fighter. He's not like Shell, you know, off here, return, jab. He doesn't defend like that. He's a pull guy or a head movement guy. You know, he's always like probe, and then he'll start flurrying into leg kicks, kind of chase you down. He's more prone to slip a punch than to block one. Makes sense, which is why I've always kind of liked the Dutch kickboxers' approach. If you were to take a style that's not MMA striking and make it MMA striking, Dutch style makes a lot of sense because it was more about evasion. That you didn't see too many guys playing Philly shell, you know. The leg kicks too there, you know, or too open. But no, because he's more of an evader than a blocker. Right, so that was a good question. He's, you know, like the pull counter, counter does it well. He's really good at that. Yeah, that's what Ngannou was trying to do a lot against Stipe. Then Stipe, as you said, was just fucking fainting, and Ngannou was just throwing at air. Mm-hmm. Like his foot was leaving the ground. Yeah, man. That was tough. Another great fight on the card: Paul Felder versus Mike Perry. Weird one because Paul Felder's coming in now to fight at 170 against Mike Perry. He was supposed to be fighting in a main event. They just pulled him from that main event and say, "Hey, get in here, get into 226 and fight Mike Perry." At 170, right? Yeah. 170. Yeah. Felder, Irish Dragon. I know Paul well because of Daniel Gracie and the crew. He's a savage, man. I know Perry's been working at Jackson Link. Really? He's saying, I think he has a psychological profile, maybe. Perry, I like the guy, but he's not all there, man. He's just not. And Paul's very, very smart. As much as he comes out kind of crazy, he's intelligent. Very intelligent. I know there will be a weight discrepancy, and I think Perry's got a lot of heart and a lot of chin, a lot of power, but Paul's so refined, man. And it's not as though Perry's a great grappler, per se. Paul winning 15 pounds up, he makes a pretty good case to jump up in his own division if he so chooses to stay there. He's just he's a much, much more refined striker. How much can you improve someone's striking in X amount of time? We talk about these concepts a lot, right? I don't know. That much? I don't think so. But when you got a bomb, in a chin, who knows? Felder doesn't seem to get caught with that kind of shit, Yeah. It's a good fight because there's not going to be a whole lot of takedowns, I don't think, in it. I think it's going to be a striking affair. And it's one of those fights that I feel like Paul Felder would really get up for because you have an aggressive guy there. He's not going to really frustrate him. I think Perry's going to come forward. Perry wants a win here. So I think it's just a really, really fun fight. Completely different stylistic matchup than what Paul Felder was in for with James Vick, who's more of a polished kind of counter striker, good jab. Yeah, completely different fight. So I think Paul Felder has a lot of balls taking this short notice fight. He was in camp, but short notice fight at 170. His fight's a win, though. Yeah. What's the line on that? Paul's favored. Really? Minus 155. That's cool. Not huge, but he's favored. I think. Did I ever tell you the story about what do you like most about Daniel Gracie's jiu-jitsu? I don't think so. This is I don't know how this came up, but they're like, what do you like most about Henzo / Daniel Gracie, whatever it was, Henzo Gracie Philly, Daniel Gracie's place? He's like, learning how to get up and strike. So he's never like done the Eddie Bravo fall in love with jiu-jitsu. He just wants to
have a good guard.
No, he just wants to spin and throw a back fist or an elbow, you know? He's like another whirling dervish. He likes to spin.
Yeah.
But that's the Taekwondo roots meets, current kind of Muay Thai musings and MMA footwork. Yeah. He's a great striker, man. He's really good. He's been in there with some of the best.
They better be paying Paul double for this one, Raphael Schaefer said. And I hope so. I really do. I hope so.
They all should be paid double.
Yeah.
Get-go.
Dan from Oregon said that Vic is a bigger test than Perry 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Couldn't agree more.
All those guys are 165ers, he said as well.
But has Paul struggled to make 155? Because
I don't know, but he is big.
He's very big, but if he makes it,
yeah,
yeah,
you won't have to cut weight for this one, or at least. And D-Fabe 53 said that,
but it'll be water
negligible.
Yeah.
Yeah. But everybody in the chat as well, if you have any more questions, get them in, and also click the like button and the subscribe button. And we're back here every Wednesday and every Tuesday for the actual show, starting from next week.
Three more musings real quick. I'll just throw them out.
Keep going.
Guys, please root for my two of my friends are fighting, one Friday, one Saturday. Matt Bissett is fighting on Friday night's card, and root for him. He's just a likable dude with a great story. Secondly, Rob Font, who I know not as well as a person, but I've trained with much more out of Sadiatong, and he's climbing, man. So I know him.
We have to talk about that fight.
Okay. So we'll save that with the Israel.
Yeah.
But Rob Font's got to be spoken of because that's my man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love that kid. He's
Rob Font.
He's rising, man.
Versus Rafael Asuncao, a guy who does not lose unless he's fighting the top guys. So I think that this is a fight that Rob Font can really cement himself as a top guy. If he can get through...
Oh, he's right in the conversation.
He's right in there.
Yeah, he's like ready for Dominic. He's, or you figure there's like a 135 is deeper than I think people think, because Jimmy, right? You got Jimmy Rivera, Dominic, Cody, TJ, what's his name? Moraes is just lighting the world on fire, right? And now you can't rule out Captain Caveman. What's his name? Lineker. You can't rule him out.
Caveman.
Right. And now, what's his name? Rob's young, and Rob's a sponge. Rob's the first guy, because you got the gym that I'm talking about, Sadiatong, is in Somerville, Mass, out near Boston, and I'm on the other side of the state. So for me to get there takes like an hour and a half, even in the morning. So, it's a drive, but he's always there. Like him and I would, mess around, just whatever, like no gloves on sparring, play, I call it Louis Baron sparring. You're bare knuckled, messing around, rolling, whatever. He's a smart, hardworking kid, man. I love that dude.
Yeah, he's awesome, and it's just such a great fight too. The fear of, as always with Asuncao, is that he's gonna make it that Asuncao fight where he's just gonna do enough.
I know. When's the last time he dominated? Oh my god! And you hear Rogan's eye popping out.
It's been a long time, and that's why he's not really within a shout of getting a title fight. That's why it is.
Yeah, because you don't want gold around the waist of someone that's going to put you to sleep. Yeah. 12 minutes, Rob.
Yeah, but he's great. Cool. 12.
All right. Yeah.
Awesome. HMSG said, "Fuck yeah, is this live? Am I too late?" We have about 10 minutes, so you can join for 10 minutes. Melendar versus Griffin. Who you got as a favourite? I like Max Griffin. I thought he had a good win over Mike Perry. I thought he looked good in that fight, and I think a lot of people are kind of forgetting about him. But I
haven't watched enough film to give you any insight as to rule one. I know them both, but
quick thoughts, Brendan, on Stylebender versus Brad Tavares. So Israel Adesanya, taking on Brad Tavares. Quick thoughts before we leave.
I love Israel Adesanya. I want him to not underestimate Tavares, who has crazy power from crazy weird angles. I think it was his last fight, he caught that right hand kind of from the clinch, like a little, just turned it over, and he put a guy to sleep. He's got a lot of power, man. Israel's more of a volume knockout guy.
Sure.
I mean, a head kick, again, head kicks are always going to be one shot, one hitter quitters. But when it comes to his boxing technique and everything and his creativity, he looked a little complacent last fight, although it might have been the opponent. The first fight he was more impressive, even though there was some of that too. Tavares, though, doesn't go for takedowns. Again, another guy. Should be a lot of stand-up affairs this weekend, rather. And if that's the case, and he's not worried about your takedowns, watch out. Because as long as he doesn't get complacent and get a little too, looking at his hand, shit, here comes a head kick. I just hope he doesn't get. I don't mind the confident thing. I don't like it ruining your technique, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like
confidence at the expense of getting exposed.
Sure.
Or underestimating, or name it. But Israel sky's the limit with him. I mean, striking wise, he's as refined as they come. If he can stay focused in his refinement, and his growth.
I think, I personally, it's very weird matchmaking. I think, I don't know. I don't really like the matchmaking. I really don't.
Tavares lay on the cage and pray guy.
Kind of, yeah. And he's tough. He's good. Like Tavares is good. That's but he does do that, and I just think that. Yeah.
He's boring.
Do you know what I compare it to?
Boring.
Do you know what I compare it to? Do you remember last week, or a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Tyson Pedro?
Yeah.
Similar. I just think that they're throwing him in there with guys who they feel like if they beat this guy, they'll go up and they'll maybe become a star sooner rather than later. And sometimes that's just a bit too much. I'm not saying that Adesanya's going to lose this fight, but I just think that they're really on that edge of, don't know.
Because an Israel Adesanya does better, you'd think, matched up at 185 with, say, like Uriah Hall, right? In a way. Like another guy that's going to be that like-minded striker. Not a guy that's going to maybe clip you from the clinch and then go like, oh, this fucking hype train just got derailed with one weird punch.
Yeah.
That can happen. Tavares will lay on a guy against the cage. He's very good, like, Dominic Cruz would love his underhook game. He's real good at kind of spinning out, getting real high with his underhooks and kind of up around to the trap, spinning out. He's really good at like cage grappling, but then he doesn't do much with it. This fight can be a little stagnant, this is two guys now in a row for Israel that are gonna, probably after they feel a few of his strikes might want to go to that, and then it's like, boo, that's a main event.
Yeah.
But the smartest matchmaking, I don't know. I miss you, Joe Silva. Miss you.
We'll leave now, but there's one comment in the chat based on last week. Sorry, don't want to be a hater. This is based on the discussion we had last week, and it's an opinion, and sorry, I don't want to be a hater, but going back to last week, I definitely don't think Khabib will beat Conor. I think Conor first round KO for sure. Would be surprised he's not the favourite. There's no way Khabib finishes Conor.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nate Diaz either, right? What's the person's name?
HMSG. It seems like a guy who watches a lot. So.
Okay, if they want to contact me as a human being, we can bet on it.
Ooh. HM, get on that. But yeah, it's
easy to find. My name's my name.
Yeah.
As Marlon Stanfield would say, my name is my name.
But yeah. It can't be a show without that fight coming up, and that's what makes the fight so good, because everybody has an opinion on who will win. And
that puncher's chance that we haven't seen in 35 years, watch out.
Okay, we're done. Before everybody leaves the chat,
Matt Bissett, I said right.
Huh?
Yeah, watch Matt Bissett.
Watch Matt Bissett and Rob Font.
Want to get that in there?
Yeah, Matt Bissett, Rob Font. Let's do it.
Yes, sir.
Before you leave the chat, everybody, like and share, subscribe, check us out on iTunes and all those places, and follow Brendan Dorman on Twitter. You'll get his tweets during the fights. Follow us on Twitter. You'll get our tweets during the fights. And also check out Brendan's 226, UFC 226 fighter breakdowns, because they're awesome.
Please do, and I'll add this even to the playlist.
There's a playlist actually in the description of this. So, awesome. Brendan.
Much love.
It was awesome. Thank you.
See you on the flip side, everyone.
Cheers, man.
Later.